Hey there folks, I'm Jeff, your tabletop technician here in the Dice Tower, and today I have a trivia question to start things off with. What is the lightest game designed by Vital Lacerda?
The Gallerist is the lightest one that I've played.
Well, I can definitely tell you what it's not.
Whew, not Weather Machine.
Probably that market game, Mercado de Lisboa. Probably, I'm assuming that's his lightest game.
You were all close, but wrong, I'm afraid. You see, the lightest Vital Lacerda game is...
Dad!
Yes?
How about I take this one?
Okay.
The lightest Vital Lacerda game is Dragon Keepers, which he designed with his son Alex.
She's right.
Dragon Keepers was kickstarted.
What, are you going to review this?
Yes, go sit in the corner and do something.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm Mel, by the way, and as I was saying, Dragon Keepers came to Kickstarter in 2018, when I was just 5 years old. Vital spent 5 years making this game with his son Alex, who by then was 14. What made Dragon Keepers such an interesting game was that it came with 2 different modes of play. One mode that was competitive but geared toward younger players, and another mode that was cooperative for older players.
Apparently old enough to hijack her dad's review.
Dad. Anyways, in either mode of play, players are becoming keepers, who are responsible for protecting and training mighty dragons from an evil hunter who sought to hurt them. And if you think that sounds like the theme from How to Train a Dragon, you won't be alone. On the Kickstarter page, Alex, then named Katarina, said their favorite movie was How to Train Your Dragon. Now, let me tell you about Keeper Mode. In Keeper Mode, you start off rolling dice for the hunter equal to the number of players plus 1, and place each die on the corresponding dragon tile. Players then secretly choose a card from their hand of the dragon they wish to protect, and if they are the only player to protect that dragon from the hunter, they put a shield of their color on that dragon tile. The first player to have shields on 3 different dragons wins the game.
We used to play that a lot when you were younger.
He's so needy, isn't he?
Come on, Jeff. Get it together.
Tell me about it, guys. Anyway, recently someone dug this off the shelf and wanted to try out Dragon Mode.
Hey, that someone was me.
In Dragon Mode, you start with the same arrangement of dragons around the hunter. Each dragon starts on its friendly side, just like in Keeper Mode. You'll also have a deck of magic cards with 4 hunter cards mixed into them, and you'll start with 2 cards from that deck face up on the table. You skip the first 2 steps in the first round, so I'll come back to those. For now, you roll a number of hunter dice equal to the number of players, and place each die on the appropriate dragon just like in the Keeper Mode. You still have a card for each dragon, but you also have a stack of action tokens that you can use to pick the action for that dragon you chose. The defend token lets you remove all the hunter's dice from a dragon. The heal token lets you remove all arrows from a wounded dragon. The training token lets you flip over a dragon tile to its train side, or if it is already flipped over, you draw an attack die from the bag and place it on the dragon's tile. The attack token lets you roll the attack dice on that dragon's tile to attempt to attack the hunter. Each action you attempt can succeed or fail. Successfully defending or healing a dragon lets you claim one of the 2 face-up magic cards. Successfully training a dragon lets you claim another action token. Successfully attacking lets you trigger the special ability of the dragon that made the attack, which will often add fireballs to the hunter card. Also, if that dragon attacks for the first time, you add a shield of any color to that dragon tile. Once the hunter has 3 fireballs on his card, often from dragons successfully attacking, the hunter will lose 1 of its dice for the next round. However, whenever a hunter card is revealed in the magic deck, the hunter will gain a die for the next round. Timing in this mode is important. If you try to heal the dragon someone has already healed, your action will fail and you won't get an award. What makes this mode so difficult is that you can't tell anyone what dragon you're selecting.
I don't know, Chris. This is starting to sound like Weather Machine all over again.
I'm getting flashbacks.
And that's not even all, guys. The cards and tokens that you play in your turn, they stay on the discard pile until you spend your entire turn resting to get them back. Those magic cards, by the way, they can be played on your turn before or after your main action, and most of the time, they simply let you repeat one of the regular actions, usually on any dragon or dragons you choose. Once used, magic cards are removed from the game. But these are also a timer for the game, because after players take their actions, any hunter dice remaining on the dragon will hurt that dragon by adding an arrow to the dragon tile. If a dragon has as many arrows on it as hearts in its top corner, the dragon is defeated and the players will lose the game. After that, the next round starts by passing the hunter token to your left and then taking the magic card from the top of the deck and placing it on the discard pile. If there isn't a card left in the deck to do this with, the game ends in defeat. The players win if a number of dragons have successfully attacked the hunter, and that number changes based on the difficulty you have chosen for the game.
Can I join you as we share our thoughts on this game?
Oh, I guess so.
Oh, come on, Mel. Make him stay in the corner.
I think he's been there long enough.
You would.
You did a good job, kiddo.
Thanks, Dad.
So to sum this up, Dragon Keepers in Dragon Mode is a cooperative game with a timer element at the hand of these cards and some limited communication between the players. Now, what are your thoughts on those two elements?
Well, I didn't really like not being able to tell you or Mom what I was going to do on my turn, so it was just complicated for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there are a lot of games that do this. And honestly, I've just never really cared for those games where you're not allowed to socialize. I mean, this is a family weight game. So to say kind of right away, you're going to sit with your family and not communicate almost kind of seems to defeat the purpose. I think what makes some of those games work, and I'm thinking of games like Hanabi and The Crew, you've got a very specific goal that you're working towards. Maybe you're trying to get cards in a certain order, or you're trying to get a card to a certain player, and you're all kind of working towards that same goal, and you know what's going on. You just got to figure out how to do it. With this game, with Dragon Keepers, there's that random element of the dice, and that makes it so much more harder to reach a goal when that goal is constantly changing. That luck element makes that lack of communication a lot harder. Now, what do you think about this magic card timer?
Well, we kind of realized that depending on what card you take, you can make the game end sooner.
Yeah, exactly. See, there are 17 cards in the deck plus the 4 hunter cards. And at the end of each round, as Mel explained in the teach, a card will slide over from the draw deck to the discard pile. And that means you get 17 rounds with that standard deck. Now, whenever you're successful at one of those actions, you can take one of the top 2 cards from the deck or the discard pile. But if you take it from that deck, you're shortening one of the rounds of the game. That's one less card that gets to slide over to the discard pile. And it's a little bit, I think, frustrating because this is a reward that you get for being successful at an action, but that reward comes at the cost of shortening the game, which also just increases the difficulty. You now have less turns to accomplish your objective in the game. Now, what do you think overall about the difficulty of Dragon Keepers?
It's hard.
And what mode have we always been playing on?
Easy.
Yeah, and it is not that easy, is it?
Nope.
Yeah, I agree. We've already talked about some of the challenges here with the lack of communication and the ability to shorten the game. Now, I do think there's a bit of an efficiency puzzle here, especially if you can get those dragons trained in time to use some of their special abilities. Of course, this also requires having the dice roll in your favor. There are dragons that can do 2 damage in a single turn. There are some that can damage and heal another dragon on the same turn. And so, again, being able to trigger one of those dragons with one of its attacks makes you feel like you're taking multiple actions on the same turn, which is certainly fun. Of course, if the dice roll misses, well, then you take 0 actions on your turn instead. Now, what was something that you did like about Dragon Keepers?
I love the magic cards because it made me feel more powerful because you get to take more actions on your turn. So they were also pretty helpful too.
Yep, I agree. I did like the magic cards. They kind of let you build up almost like a combo. You can kind of heal and train on the same turn. You can get some extra things done. And that does feel pretty rewarding, which of course makes it a little bit of a bummer that you don't want to collect too many of them too quickly and shorten up your game. Now, if you had to score Dragon Keepers from a 1 to 10, what would you give it?
I would give it a number 5.
That seems like a pretty fair score.
Yeah, I loved the art and the magic cards, but it was just too hard for me because I wasn't able to communicate with you guys.
Yep, I agree. And I really do like the theme of this game. They really nailed that how to train your dragon idea with this. They did a great job with that theme. I also really did enjoy the Keepers mode, which I realize you probably don't remember that well, but it was a really light, really simple, fairly quick game that you could play even with younger kids. I mean, we played that when you were about 6 or so in a camper, and I just remember very fondly playing that game with our family. I will say that I wish the easy mode was a little bit easier in that dragon mode of the game. It's, you know, it could be 2 dragons attacking instead of 4. That would make a pretty big difference. But the other thing I'll say is that you can kind of house rule this pretty easily. If you want to change the number of dragons that have to attack, if you want to just kind of overlook that communication rule, hey, none of this stuff is chiseled in stone. You can play your games however you want. So I think that, yes.
I think I want to wrap this one up.
You got it, boss. Dad out.
Dragon Keepers is a game geared toward families that might be too difficult or too random to earn its keep. Wait, did you just make me read a dad joke?
I'm just so proud.
Cheers.
Oh, we weren't recording any of that.
Dad!
No, just kidding.
All right, Jeff, where do we send invoices for services rendered?
I'm gonna get a new car.
Ooh, I want that one.